Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Making Business Personal. I'm Jason Weiss, and I missed you. It's been like 4 weeks. It's been a month since the last episode. And, I hope you found a way to hang in there while I was gone because sometimes life, work, little creative chaos, it pulls me away. But I think that the pause I took, I wasn't on pause. I was like working my ass off, but I think that pause, I think it gave me a deeper perspective on what I'm going to dive into today on this episode. Now, if you've been waiting this month for this new episode, thank you. Seriously, because your patience and the messages you send me and even the energy, it really means the world to me. I mean, I still can't believe people listen to this. And I promise that today it's going to be worth the wait, because I'm going to tackle one of the biggest myths in business and in leadership right now. And it's something that a lot of my clients are focused on and can't figure out: the obsession with transformation. So take a breath, settle in, and let's dive right into the episode. We call it transformation, but what we usually mean is panic wrapped in a PowerPoint. We light the fuse, we blow up what was, and then we wonder why no one wants to build again. The truth is that most people aren't resisting change. They're just exhausted by it. They are so tired of being told that this time it's going to be different. It's going to be different, like this reorg, this new platform, this bold new future. This is what's finally going to unlock the magic. But when change becomes your constant command, fatigue turns into quiet defiance. So I want to offer you a different lens today. I want to offer you a lens that replaces transformation with evolution. I just talked about this with a couple of teams in Europe about 3 weeks ago, because all of those teams were going through constant evolution. But what you need to realize is that the goal isn't to move faster, it's to move truer. And that requires slowing down at times, and not because you're weak or because you're tired, but because you understand that real change moves at the speed of trust. And we got to be honest here. Transformation, it's become one of those words that it's lost its meaning somewhere between the kickoff meeting and the town hall, because we treat it like it's this event, right? Like it's this big bang moment that, look, consultants like me fly in, slide decks start to multiply, timelines tighten, and suddenly everyone is sprinting towards this finish line that somehow nobody even believes in anymore. And then what happens? Do you cross that finish line? Do banners come down? No. You end up having the same system, the same fears, the same behaviors that quietly resurface. And it's not because people don't care. Trust me, they care. It's simply because they're human. Now, I have found that there are 3 main reasons that most transformations fail. And they all come back to the pace of the human nervous system. The first is overload. Most organizations are running 3 to 5 strategic transformations at the same time. You've got digital, cultural, operational, agile, and now AI. And each one of those is pulling energy, it's pulling attention, it's pulling patience from the same people who are already maxed out. Now, the second problem is disconnection, because too often change is done to people. It's not done with them. You see, decisions that are made in the boardroom, well, they make the people who are living the impact feel voiceless. And you can't create impact if you don't have inclusion. And the third one is acceleration without recovery. Now, every single athlete knows this. Muscles don't grow during the workout. They grow during the rest that follows the workout. But for some reason, in business, it seems like we're never stopping. We're always lifting. We stack initiative on initiative until the very people who are meant to power progress are quietly burning out. So I've come to believe that fatigue, the fatigue that you might see in your organization, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that integration is overdue, that your organization's heartbeat has somehow lost its rhythm. But there's a paradox here, because the world around us is always accelerating, whether it's technology, the markets, expectations. But the leaders who seem to thrive in that chaos, the chaos of that acceleration, they're not the ones who are trying to run faster. They're not the ones who are trying to outpace acceleration. They're the ones who know when to pause. They practice what I call the slow revolution. It's the art of moving intentionally in a world that is obsessed with immediacy. It's not about being sluggish. It's about being deliberate. So, look, just think of a river. A river can carve its way through stone. At first glance, the river might look still and gentle, but over time, the persistence of the river reshapes entire landscapes. I mean, just look at the Grand Canyon. That's evolution. Transformation, that's a flash flood. Looks impressive, but it's chaotic, and it's often destructive. Evolution is the river. It's quiet, it's consistent, and it's relentless. And the beauty of slow revolution is that, well, it's actually faster in the long run because people stay with the slow revolution. They trust the pace. And then they can integrate what's happening. They could keep showing up. And then when they do show up, they show up with all their energy instead of their forced compliance. So when you stop chasing instant change, you make space for sustainable progress. And that's what this is all about. It's not about more movement. It's about more meaning. So let's talk about what really holds change together. It's not the strategy desks or the strategy decks. It's not the org charts. It's that underlying architecture that you don't see, the scaffolding underneath the structure. It's invisible framework that's hard to measure, and it's what creates growth. And there's 4 elements that are hidden in that architecture. The first one has to deal with emotion, so strap right in. It's your emotional scaffolding, because every big change is going to shake someone loose. People worry. They ask themselves, will I still belong here? Do I still belong here? Will I still matter? And leaders often rush to reassure with data or with logic. But what people need first is emotional safety. They need you to narrate uncertainty, not pretend it's not there. You need to be able to say, I don't have all the answers yet, but here's what I do know. Now that's the scaffolding. That's the emotional scaffolding that holds this up. It's what lets other people breathe. It's what lets them exhale. Now, second, you need a feedback infrastructure, because change is a conversation. It's not a broadcast. If you can't hear what's happening on the ground, you're flying blind. So you've got to build sensors into your system, pulse checks, listening systems, even anonymous channels. I mean, that's what surveys are for. When people see that their input is actually shaping the next iteration, they're going to move from compliance to co-creation. Now, the third thing is a meaning framework. Humans can handle almost any what if they understand why. Now, I'm not the first person to tell you that, but without that context, even good changes can feel threatening. So you got to translate your strategy into a story. You got to connect those dots between the individual and the mission. People don't need certainty, right? I mean, it's an uncertain world, but what they do need is coherence. And then finally, number 4, you need energy systems, because change requires energy, and energy needs recovery. So you got to schedule that, protect that. So you can create rituals that restore instead of extract. And it can't just be go, go, go all the time. A simple 10-minute gratitude circle, a weekly no meeting block. Moments like that, they signal that it's okay to pause. It's okay to take your foot off the gas or the accelerator if you drive electric. And either way, it's fine with me, Because here's the truth. You cannot evolve on fumes. So when those 4 elements, emotion, feedback, meaning, and energy are all aligned, you don't need to force change. It's going to start to self-perpetuate. Your people begin to own it. And that's when evolution becomes culture. We've spent decades trying to measure change with speed. You got your rollout dates, your adoption codes, or you got velocity charts. But the true rate limiter isn't time, it's trust. Trust really determines how fast people are willing to move with you or without you. Because if your team doesn't trust that they're going to be safe on the other side of that change, it's not going to matter how brilliant the strategy is. They're not going to do it. So before your next initiative, don't ask, are we ready? Instead, you might want to ask, do we trust each other enough to go through this together? Do we trust each other enough to see what's on the other side? Because when your trust is high, even hard challenges can feel manageable. But when trust is low, an easy change can feel impossible. The real work of leadership isn't accelerating transformation. It's accelerating trust. That's the metric of the future. So let's make this practical. I want to challenge you to run a 90-day evolution sprint. Not another transformation project, not another top-down overhaul, just a conscious experiment in moving differently. Now, here's how it can work. Step 1, I want you to identify one pattern that needs to evolve. I mean, it could be anything. It could be your decision-making speed, how your team gives feedback. Maybe it's how you handle meetings, but just figure out one. Now, step 2 is break it into 3-week micro experiments. Try something new, observe, and then adjust. Don't over-engineer it. Step 3, add a single question to every meeting. How's this landing? It's simple, but it invites reality into the room. Step 4, create a safety valve. Give people a place where they can share concerns without repercussions. I mean, that could be a feedback form, it could be a roundtable, or even a Slack channel. I mean, you could label it what's not working. As much as I can't stand Slack, I mean, there are advantages. It is a useful tool. And then step 5, celebrate learning, not completion. Because the goal here isn't to finish the sprint. It's to evolve your capability to change gracefully. Because that's what evolution is. The ability to keep adapting without burning out the system. At the end of the day, the future doesn't belong to the fastest. I mean, you're never going to be as fast as AI. The future belongs to the most adaptable. And adaptability is born in stillness just as much as it is in movement. Real revolutions, they don't start with fireworks. They start quietly. They start in rooms where people feel safe enough to try something new. They start with leaders who choose to slow down long enough to listen, and with teams who rebuild trust one honest conversation at a time. Maybe that's what the world is asking us for now. Not more innovation, not more transformation, but more integration, more wisdom, more humanity in the way that we evolve. So if you remember one thing from this episode, let it be this. Transformation isn't the goal. Evolution is the goal. And evolution moves at the speed of trust. So take the next 90 days to slow down just enough for your evolution to catch up. Now, if this message resonated with you, I want to invite you to become part of something bigger, the Leadership Renaissance. It's my free global community for leaders, for creators, for change makers who believe they need to bring humanity back to the way that we work, back to the way that we lead. Now, when you join, you get access to weekly letters, monthly huddles, and meaningful conversations with remarkable people who are reimagining leadership from the inside. And it's a place where you could stay inspired, sharpen your presence, and where you could connect with others who are choosing purpose over performance. Now, I've got some great upcoming guests on Making Business Personal, including Brianna Brown, Allison Tibbs, Janie Walrob, and each one of them is going to explore their unique lens on life, creativity, and impact. So if you haven't yet, please take a moment to subscribe and leave a review, because that's what really drives the metric, and share this episode with someone who's ready to slow down and lead differently. So as always, thank you for listening to Making Business Personal, and stay curious, stay kind, and keep evolving. I'll see you next time. Make it a great day. Bye for now.